Our next storyteller tonight. She's also a newbie to our stage and fairly new to storytelling, Maureen Bogues. She was raised in Omaha, Nebraska. I thought there'd be more people. She's obsessed with, She's obsessed with classical music, particularly Beethoven, her dog Maddie, and storytelling. Please welcome Maureen with her story, Ring My Bell.
Does everyone remember their first obsessive crush? Yeah, they all had one of those, right? Well, I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I was in my mid-20s, working as an entertainment reporter at a daily newspaper in Lincoln, Nebraska. And one day I had to interview this woman, this comedian, about an event that was coming up. And I got on the phone and I'm interviewing her. And there's this instant spark, this instant chemistry. And I was like, whoa, I think I'm a little bit attracted. And I hang up the phone and I look at her photo. Hair is short. She's a little bit androgynous. Is she gay? I don't know. You don't know these things, especially back then. I don't know. But as for me, I had just been out maybe a couple of years after, many, many years of being closeted and pushing down all those feelings and avoiding them. So you can imagine when you, after squishing down and pushing down all those feelings, they suddenly erupt and you're ready to date somebody that you have a major crush on. It's like pump the jam, bump the bump, get the party started. Get your booty on the floor tonight, make my day. Did anyone else dance to that in the early 90s? Yeah, well, so my friends and I used to go to this bar called Panic, and it's still in existence in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we liked to go to the downstairs dance floor because it had a lot of mirrors. We could admire ourselves. I was young and skinny back then. And we would admire other people at the same time, so it was really good. But I didn't have to do that at this moment because I had a crush on somebody, and I wanted to find out more. Luckily, she invited me to this comedy event where she was performing. And so I went, and I introduced myself nervously after the show. I'm the reporter who interviewed you. Blah, blah, blah. But there was still that spark, and I'm sure I was more intelligent than that. But, but nothing happened, and I went home, and I'm like, what do I do? I was now more attracted because she was funny, and that's attractive. And she's cute. And I'm like, well, what now? Oh, wait a minute. I'm a reporter. I have her phone number. Jeez. Okay, I have her phone number, but then what? Okay, plan A is I call her, and if she picks up the phone, I talk to her. Plan B is if I get her answering machine, and that could happen because she's on the road a lot. If I get her answering machine, I need to do something really clever and fun. Now remember, back in the day, there's no cell phones, there's no texting or sexting or any of that. This is all old school. So, if you get the answering machine, I'm thinking, okay, I have to do something clever. I have to leave a clever message. Well, luckily, I'm a bad musician, and I had a viola. So I'm gonna leave a sound effect, right? Why wouldn't you? And so I go and I get my viola at the ready, in case I get the answering machine. And so I dial, and then I go bing, and I start. Hi, Mary. This is Maureen. Can you name this sound effect? You could win a prize. Call me back at, and left my phone number and hung up. A day or two later, she calls me. It was a trumpet! I'm like, oh, she has to have the last laugh, doesn't she, the comedian? I said, well, no, and you don't win a prize. But, it was silly, and we were going back and forth, but I got a response. That's the main thing. I got a response, right? Okay, so I'm thinking, okay. And again, because she was on the road, or at least that's what I believe, at least she was on the road a lot, so it was answer machines and the occasional phone call. But I've got to up my game, right? Okay, so you know what's next, right? Of course, answering machine poetry. Of course, right? So I wrote a poem, because I'm trying to show how clever I am. I wrote this poem about a giggle, because it's kind of the closeted laughter that you're not supposed to have, right? And well, anyway, it was silly. So I wrote this poem and I read it on the answer machine. A tiny giggle caught my middle. It seemed so very awfully little. Imprisoned by my ribbed cage, its potency was hard to gauge. But up I sat with determined force in a vain attempt to chart its course, to channel that badness into good and make it stay the way it should. But it jumped a subway to my soul. It rattled the tracks and caught a hole. My firm resolve began to crack as the giggle launched a sneak attack. It kicked and squirmed till it wriggled free. That's why I no longer have to pee. Romantic or what? Left this on the answer machine, and I know she called back, or I called back, or this kind of went back and forth, but then at some point, you're going, okay, is this going anywhere? Is she even aware that I am crushed on her? Maybe not. You never know. So I thought, I'm going to have to up my game. I'm going to have to set the record straight, so to speak, here, what we're dealing with. So old school, I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a letter, okay? Write a letter. Dear Mary, I enjoy talking to you. I've enjoyed laughing and seeing your shows. I am attracted to you. Would you like to go out and do something when you're back in town? Maureen. Popped it in the mail and waited. A day or two later, she calls me and says, well, you want to come with me to, she had a gig at a college, and did I want to come with her? And I said, sure. I thought, is it a date? Is she even gay? Is she even single? I mean, these are all questions. But anyway, we go to the college, and she does her thing, and of course it's funny. And on the ride home, I'm finally like, okay. And I said, well, so you got my note, and what do you think about that? She's like, well, I really enjoyed you're really funny, and you're really fun, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you, but I think we should be friends. That was not the answer I was looking for. No, and I don't remember what I said, but my head was like, what? What about my answering machine poetry? What about my wonderful sound effects? And oh my God, you flirt a lot. And if you're not interested, wow, okay, all right, okay, all right. And we never did say the L word, lesbian. That never came up. And I didn't know what, maybe she wasn't interested or whatever. I didn't know what her deal was, but I knew what I want. I was a big old lesbo, and I'm looking for another big old lesbo to date. And this may not be that. So I am thinking that maybe I need to go back out to the Panic Bar and pump up the jam, pump it up, get the party started, and find someone else to date.